I always feel really weird explaining this because about a third of the people who watch this will go, that's easy. About a third of the people who watch this will go, that makes no sense, that's stupid. And about a third will say both. And you're all right. So this is a question of vocabulary, about learning exactly what a word means. The good news is it's easy. The bad news is it doesn't make much sense. And unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to provide you with any reason to make it make sense until you get to grade 12. So if you are willing to trust me that it's easy and kind of not worry about why I'm saying the things that I'm saying, you don't have to worry too much. So degree is, as far as we're concerned, a measure of how, and there's two words you could use here, interesting or complicated a polynomial is. And immediately you are thinking, words like interesting and complicated sound awfully vague, and they sound awfully unmathy, and that is the point. So the best way to do this is with some examples. So I will tell you, for example, that x cubed, that has a degree equal 3. And x to the power 5, that has a degree equal to 5. So far, so good. Now, if I make this a little bit more complicated, let's say I make 4x to the power 5. That has degree equal to also 5. So far in these examples, all that's happened is my degree has just been, I have looked at that number and written it down. Looked at that number and written it down. Looked at that number, and even though there's another number multiplying it, I've written it down. Okay? So degree is, for the most part, counting exponents. Now, if I do, and by the way, sign has nothing to do with it, so I could make all of these negative and wouldn't change the degree at all. So sign doesn't enter into it. Degree is really about counting exponents. Let's say I take something which is a little bit more complicated. How about x squared y cubed? Well, in this case, it would be 2 and 3, the degree would be equal to 5. So a squared b cubed c to the 9th. I would just count. 2 plus 3 is 5, 5 plus 9, the degree of this is 14. And remember, coefficients, numbers multiplying in front, don't count, so I could put, say, a 3 there, and I could put -7 there, and that wouldn't change the degree at all. So for a single term, so for a monomial, degree just adds all the exponents. Okay, so you have to ask, well, what does that mean? What about 5x? Well, there is an invisible 1 here, so the degree of that is equal to 1. And if you think about it, if x squared would have a degree of 2 and x by itself would have a degree of 1, if I take that away and I just put a number like, say, 7, just pick any number I want. I could even make it a decimal. All right. I could even make it negative. It doesn't matter. All of those have degree equal to 0. So as far as this measure of complicated, interesting, a number has 0 interestingness. But if I have a variable that has interestingness 1, and if I have that variable squared, that has interestingness 2, and if I have 2 of these and 3 of these multiplied together, that has interestingness 5. So far, so easy. The problem comes in when you have, say, a binomial. So let me do 5x to the power 4 minus 2x cubed. Okay? Now, if each one of these were existing by itself, so if I forgot that was there, this would have degree equal 4. And if I forgot that was there, this would have degree equal to 3. And the question is, what does the combined binomial have as its degree? And the answer, which is why people say this topic is stupid and makes no sense, is 4. The answer is I take the highest one and ignore everything else. And the reason for that is not something that I can explain in a way that makes sense, but basically what we're trying to say is 4 is so much more interesting than 3 that having the 3 next to the 4 does nothing to raise this to make it any more interesting than it would be if the one with a degree 4 was there by itself. How does that make sense? Trust me. And that means is I could add more to this. So I could put plus 73x squared. That would have a degree equal to 2. But this whole thing would still have degree 4 because the 2 doesn't add anything to this. I could stick onto this, say, negative 5. And that, of course, has a degree 0. But the whole thing still has degree 4. So for polynomials, degree means find the degree of each term and choose the highest one. Okay? So really quick example, and you'll see exactly what I mean. 5x to the 6 minus 2x cubed plus 4x squared minus 9. I hit them one by one. This has a degree 6. This has a degree 3. This has a degree 2. This has a degree 0. And I look at them together, and I basically say, this doesn't count, this doesn't count, this doesn't count. This is the only one that counts, degree equals 6. And that's it. That's all you have to know. But when it comes up as a question, degree is one of those words where it's not possible to look at context and guess this silly definition. So if you didn't know it going in, you would have no idea what to do. But here it is, and hopefully, even though it's weird, it's fairly straightforward and it's easy for you to do.